Hi everybody, it's time for me to review another Game Boy Advance game based on an adaptation of an E.B. White book, and since I'm not as familiar with Stuart Little, I decided to bring in someone who is.
Stuart Little 2 is a video game based on the film of the same name that follows the 1999 film adaptation of E.B. White's book from 1945.
The game is primarily a side-scroller that follows the events of the second movie. The first level serves to let the player figure out the controls of the game as Stuart searches for some paint for the model airplane that he and George made.
From there, Stuart operates the plane and damages it, setting the stage for the adventure that ensues with the quest to restore it.
But before that, Stuart has to go to school, and the next level takes place at the end of the school day as Stuart heads to his car to get home. Afterwards, you have to drive Stuart home in a top-down perspective driving level where he saves a bird named Margalo from an evil falcon on the way.
Margalo then recovers at the Little residence, at which point she steals a ring from the matriarch of the family, leading to the Littles' unsuccessful attempt to reclaim it.
The Littles initially think the ring fell down the drain, which leads to the level where Stuart goes down there at the end of a string to look. You have to also thwart off spiders with a flashlight in order to survive. This level honestly reminds me of the second Battletoads level in terms of its concept.
Stuart joins forces with Snowbell to track down Falcon and uses a balloon to fly to the summit of the Pishkin building.
Maybe if we find some balloons, we could float to the top.
But is taken aback when Margalo reveals her alliance with Falcon.
Falcon then sends Stuart to his supposed death, but luckily Stuart survives because he remembered to bring a parachute and he lands on a garbage boat that has a plane on it. This then leads to the last on-foot level where Stuart gathers all the parts to fix the plane.
Once Stuart repairs the plane, he has his final battle with Falcon where he must keep his distance and attack in self-defense.
This is the only boss fight in the game, and the way you defeat Falcon is to press A to make the plane somersault as Falcon does a diagonal dive. Don't forget to pop the red balloons to fuel the plane as you fight him.
When the player succeeds in Falcon,
he might have been a Falcon, but he was no Captain Falcon.
Stuart reconnects with Margalo as she was planning on returning to the little household in the spring.
This was a satisfying ending to the game, and the game overall was a great way to tell the movie's story. Now, besides the main game, there's also a multiplayer mode where you can compete with a friend in a best 2 out of 3 car race or foot race. What do you think of the multiplayer mode, Gabe?
The multiplayer mode was simpler as it was just racing.
It certainly is, and the game overall makes me realize that I need to watch these movies in full someday. Thanks for coming back to do this crossover with me.
It's always a pleasure, Darren.